Can you tell us what your life was like before you went to St. John's Residential School?
I will. St. John's Residential School is no longer there, and it was in Chapleau, which is, I don't know if any of you have heard of Chapleau. You know where Chapleau is? Anyway, it's on the highway going towards Timmins, so that's where Chapleau is. And it was a stone structure, and it was very, very big, because when I went there, I wasn't even quite 5 years old, and I went there, and this is how I got there. My family paddled us in a canoe to take us to residential school because we had to go. It was the law then. And if the family resisted the law and didn't send their children to residential school, they were taken away. Some of them were put in jail, and their food source was threatened because at that time, the Department of Indian Affairs, there was Indian agents in the communities. You couldn't leave your community, like just jump on the bus or drive a car and get out of your communities. At that time, you had to ask permission. And that's the only way you could leave your communities. You were almost like in a prison camp, I guess that was, where you had to ask when you had to be back a certain time. So it was pretty stressful at that time. I was very young when I went to St. John's, and I stayed in St. John's for 5 years. So in my growing up years, my very informative years, when you learn about life, when you learn about who you are and so on, that's where I learned from. So of course, I learned all about to be a little soldier, because I had to live by rules, not like at home, different kind of rules. Does that answer your question? Thanks.